Welcome back, Saturday morning. Yes, you're tuned in, and we're back here Saturday morning to the Collectors Radio Show. And we got some cool stuff to talk about and everything. And maybe a show or two ago, somebody had asked about films and something related, a firearm related to the film. So that's what we got out today, and something that I actually still have, which is rare because of all the over the years. I think many of us that we get to pretty much. I think it's just what happens when like we don't have the finances to just have the luxury to go, hey, I just want something new, I'm just going to go buy it. A lot of us, like myself, we have to decide, what do I need, what do I have to sacrifice to obtain this new thing. So it's just kind of a rotation that you just ended up trading this stuff off or selling things off and going that route. A lot of times I get kind of just to the point where I need to pay, or unsuspected bills and stuff finding up in life and popping up, and you just have to get rid of some stuff just to offset some things. So it's totally, that's life. That's the working stiff life, or a lot of us, like my mom is fixed income now. She's retired, so that there's that. I mean, she worked her whole life. She from all my years that I can remember that I've been alive. She's been with the same company. I mean, she's had to been like 40 something years, because even before I came around. And she finally retired and got on with life, and I'm glad she's enjoying it. She's able to do that at the proper age that she should be retiring. And I think it's sad that we almost feel like some people, we can't retire at a decent age or whatever. And that's the bummer thing too, is like, can you retire, but can you still do anything? Are you still going to be able to, when you retire, you want to be able to do stuff and kind of get out there, and you have all these plans, but then you get up in the morning and it's like, oh, I can't, you can't do it. Your body can't do it. You want to do it, your body can't do it. So I'm glad that she's able to somewhat still do these things and enjoy that, because I think that's a bummer. Of course, you hear these stories of people, like, literally they retire and then they and they drop like the next day, and it's like, whoa, that's just crazy. That is just crazy, to think about something like that. So, but I think we're all working towards it, and it's like we all, and I try to do so much stuff on a cost effective level. I try to figure out, like, how can I get this or do this where I can enjoy it more, and maybe it doesn't cost me as much. Hence getting into hand loading, hand loading for the rounds that I shoot at the range, to continue going to the range. Early on I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to do this. So I figured that out. It used to be fairly cheap. It depends now. I guess a lot of people do ask, like, oh, should I start hand loading, whatever. It's like, what it used to be, depending on what you're hand loading, I guess, and where you're you can find the components and things that you're getting. So I mean, if you have everything already set up, like many of us that have been doing it for years, for us it's still feasible to do. All right, we got a little bit of comments here. Not many this time around, but that's okay. We're gonna read through them. First one up, Slim Fire. I know you never miss a beat or never miss a show. All right, good morning, JW. I agree with you on new Colts. I am working on filling up my new piggy bank for one of the new Colts. I remember back in the late 80s at a gun show seeing them and how pricey they were. So I didn't want to spend that kind of money. But the new ones seem better made and decent price. Have a great weekend, Slim. Yeah. Slim, you will not be disappointed. I myself, like I said, I'm really, I'm pretty hell bent on. I love vintage stuff. I'm always going to try to get the old stuff before the new stuff. But I got to tell you, in the rare case of the Python and the new Colt revolvers that they got going out, be it the Python, the Anaconda, the Viper now, they even got some other ones like the Kodiak and the Grizzly, and all those other really cool ones, the Cobra. I honestly think that they're I couldn't believe the quality of the Python. I was really skeptical when I first heard about them coming around. I thought about it and I said, depends on how they came up, how they did it. You know, I really I didn't buy one right away. I didn't go and grab one right away. I knew they were out there. I just kind of hindered around it. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't a big fan of the stainless. But they did do the stainless right, I believe. For me, I think they did the stainless right. If you want the matte stainless, they do offer that now. But for me, what I'm talking about is like I'm not a fan of the. I like stainless if it's done, if they polish it out. That's just me. I like to have it polished and nice looking, and they did. And that is some of the ones. You guys seen the videos on my 2.5 barrel length Python that I've got. That's in stainless, and that thing looks like a nickel plated revolver. It's really slick. So if it's done correctly like that, I have an interest in it. And so anyway, back to it, saying once I got them and I started checking them out, and the more and especially with the blued one that I picked up, man, I've never had that much fun with with Colt Python in my life. Really, to tell you the truth. I've had a number of them over the years, even before the YouTube channel. I had them. I had another 6-inch that I was messing around with that I shot quite often, quite frequently. I did not, it has not appeared on the YouTube channel. That was kind of a behind the scenes gun, I believe. I don't think we ever did shoot anything with it, but we did have a 6-inch that we were shooting. We did have a video of the 4-inch, and these are all vintage guns. The 4-inch one was a low serial numbered one. I think that one was honestly from the 60s. Probably later 60s, but it was in the 60s, the 4-inch one that we had. And we shot it. I mean, we shot at the range and everything. We shot 38s, but I'm going to tell you right now, that gun, I remember checking it out, and the timing was off on it. So, we kind of stopped shooting it a little bit, and it kind of, but, and it was kind of, it had some holster wear on it. It was definitely carried. And the grips were less, the grips weren't the greatest on it. I can't remember all the details on it because it's so long ago, and I gotten rid of the guns. It's probably been about 5 years, 6 years now since I've gotten rid of them. The last two that I had. But this new one that I picked up, I tell you, I feel like I could take it to the range and shoot like 100 rounds of full-blown 357 Magnum and not even like fret about it. Really, it just doesn't. That's what's cool about it. So mostly I do shoot just 38 jacketed stuff, but just to get, if I get the right proper loads for the 357, I'll probably have a little bit of those on the side, which I've never been one to shoot 357 Magnum. Because I just didn't really care for doing that, and I didn't really want to wear anything out, my guns wise, because a lot of the stuff I had are old Smiths, and not that they couldn't handle it, it's just that I didn't want to really put that kind of wear and tear on my stuff, because there was no real need to go to the range, punch paper, and shoot nuclear rounds like that. But with the Python, I felt like, I could probably do it. And I forget what they did. They tested it with some ungodly amount of rounds, and then looked at the forcing cone and the top strap and everything. And that's the thing too, to really, if you're out there buying revolvers on the used market, check out the forcing cone. And the forcing cone is inside the frame where the end of the barrel meets up where the cylinder is turning in the front of the cylinder. That's what you want to check out, and make sure that you don't have any kind of damage to that. If you see it's kind of wallowed out, or stress fractures, or things are, you know, the edges are, you know, eroded away or something like that, just keep in mind, you know, just you probably want to avoid that that gun, because it's probably been it's had its time. And the forcing cone deal, from to what I understand, I mean, that's like, I believe you have to rebarrel the whole thing. I don't think that's something that you can just buy a part for. I mean, you could, but you're gonna have to buy somebody, get somebody to do the barrel and all that, and that's beyond anything that I can do with a screwdriver and a workbench. So, all right, Sean Lee. Now I have to check out that Colt 22. Maybe another to add to the ever-growing list. Assuming you're talking about the Colt Ace. The Colt, what I have is a service Ace, which is the one that came out in the late 70s. Mine is the first year production of the service Ace, 1978. Although the idea had been around since World War II. But the ones in World War II and stuff were just a slide. You took your standard frame and stuck the slide on it, and then boom, you got the 22. From what I understand, I mean, I could be totally wrong, but that's all the ones I've seen. But the service Ace was neat because it looks like a Series 70 Mark IV, you know, government model gun, but it's all dolled up into that unit. It's cool because it's got this thing called a floating chamber, or a split chamber, whatever you want to call it. I have a video on it if you want to check it out. It has it separates. I've heard so many different reasons for that. I heard reasons it says it simulates a little bit more oomph in the recoil. And then the reason I heard, one of the reasons that makes the most sense to me, is the reason why they did that was because it is a steel, all steel. I mean, it's like you're holding it, and it's like holding a real deal Colt 1911. I heard it was just to help throw that slide back, which that makes the most sense, because mind you, when you pick that gun up, it's not an alloy slide anything. That is probably like, you know, I mean, I'm not sure. Sean Lee's already like, I'm gonna buy one now. But it's probably like one of the most well-built, you know, like 22 1911s you can get. I mean, it's like, oh my God, this does not feel like a cheap, you know, aluminum $300 gun. But it sucks cleaning it. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's a big downfall. That gun sucks to clean. It really does. It's like, I've taken apart the little barrel area, that separated thing, and I've soaked that stuff in solvents and Croil and everything. It doesn't it doesn't clean very well. So that is the downfall of it. I still got it. It's cool because it's kind of part of you know, the 1911, the Colt 1911 collection thing deal. I have never had any desires to sell it because it is kind of neat. I picked up mine for a fairly decent price. I've seen them go. I've seen them pretty expensive. In what I feel is expensive. We were actually walking around in one of these little kind of like show things out here. It was like an antique convention thing going on, and somebody had one for sale. It was like $2,000, but it had its box and everything, and you know. But you know, that's the other thing too. I'm gonna knock this a little bit because I honestly think it's kind of stupid. Especially the old Python box. When you see that wood grain looking box, that's pretty much a slip cover that's over a styrofoam insert. It's just a styrofoam insert that you pull it out. It's a block of styrofoam. The lid comes up. It may have the Colt logo embossed on the styrofoam. Big deal. And the gun lays inside of it. It's like the most cheapest way. I mean, the only thing I I just it's styrofoam. So and then that slip cover is a piece of thin, like it's almost it's just a step above index cards, and it just painted to look like wood grain, and it's got the Colt logo on it. It's like yellow or whatever it is, and that's what it is. And the ends, the fold, like a little chocolate box. It folds in the ends, and the standard thing, and it looks like a little gift box. That honestly, it does. It just looks like the box you would just get and throw it away. But they command some stupid money just because of the box or the box alone. They're trying to sell you just the box alone. And usually, most of the time when I've seen those boxes, they're ratty. I mean, they are trash. They got tape all over them. They got, it's almost like somebody dumpster dived and found a bunch of them and just like saved them in a garage after like an old burned out, gun shop from the 70s. Were just taking them and ripping through and just throwing them away and putting the guns out kind of deal, which that's what the box reminds me of. It's just something that came in just so you could just get the gun out and just throw the thing away. Maybe at best keep the outer box thing just because it's, it's got the Colt on it. I don't know. But if you're really that crazy about the boxes, I think they reproduce boxes that are actually, fairly decent for what it is. And I think they're like $30-$40. And that's about where they should be anyway. But yeah, I mean, they had the box and everything. The box, I can't remember. I didn't really look at it. But that's always kind of crazy to me. Smith & Wesson, I think they had the best boxes back in the day. Smith had those ones that they came in the 70s, the special model 29s. It was a wooden box. It was actually like a wooden box, and you open it up. I don't know if that was like standard or if you had to order the box as a special thing. I had a Model 25 that had a wooden box. It didn't say Smith & Wesson or anything on it, but it had a wooden box. The box had fell apart. The hinges were terrible on it. It's almost like they made the hinges out of pot metal, and they probably did. But it was terrible. It fell apart. But no, the outer, the mahogany box or whatever it was. I mean, I've got one that's in fairly decent shape still. That you just got to be careful when opening it. Like I said, the hinges, but the packaging. A lot of times the packaging, and I get it. It does. It's like the packaging gets more rare, especially if it's serialized to the revolver. A lot of those that I've seen, the Pythons serialized to the box, and you're hoping that that's all legit, not somebody with a pencil. Okay. Crazy Scotsman, when it comes to speed loaders, there are multiple types, some twist, some push, etc. Hitting the grips is a common thing. Glad you had an easy fix and did not mess with the grips. Yeah, my grips on mine were getting a little bit dented on the sides, and that's what that's why I pursued me to try to fix that. I said, you know what, I don't want to deal with this, and I don't want to mess up my grips. So I looked at the speed loaders, and I actually just took a palm sander and actually rounded the edges off of it. And then in the center, I put a little dot of hot glue to help give it more of a button. So when you push it down in there, it doesn't, it contacts sooner and jets that thing, and releases the rounds. Because to me, once the rounds are, once you got the rounds in and they're pretty much at the mouth of the casing, I mean, they're gonna drop in unless you just fumble it so bad, So I don't care that it's it's right there, drop in. All right, next one is from Warren. Thanks for your thoughts. My interest in firearms is also history and film and television as well. As for me, someone who is speaking of a movie, Cop Guns, you haven't got a die-hard Lethal Weapon Walker Texas Ranger gun, the Beretta 92, either 22 or 9mm. Have a great weekend. I used to have a Beretta 92. I had one for years. I got rid of it many years ago. I kind of wish I kept it. It was one of those that I kind of just got rid of. It was it is cool. I wouldn't be I wouldn't object to getting another one at some point. It's not really on the top of my list, but I too definitely Die Hard and Lethal Weapon is like pretty much the reason why the Beretta 92 is like for me a big one, especially Lethal Weapon. Just if you like the Beretta 92, I think Lethal Weapon is the better Beretta movie. Even though Die Hard is, I mean, Die Hard's close, but I think Lethal Weapon put the spotlight on it more, especially the first one when they're walking through that parking garage, and Danny Glover tells him, you know, hey man, that's some serious hardware you got or something like that. And he pulls it out, goes, "Be my guest," clears it, hands it to him, and you know the whole bit. Really cool. That's a cool scene there. But Die Hard, you know, as somebody that I went to the theater with my parents to see Die Hard 2 and 3, yeah, definitely been, you know, one of my favorites without a doubt. I didn't watch too many Walker Texas Ranger episodes on TV. My grandmother did. She liked it. I watched a lot of his older movies. Of course, you know, the 80s. I think still one of my favorite Norris films is Silent Rage, because it's kind of a horror film in a sense, and it's just that unstoppable thing. It's kind of an odd movie that he did. But then again, he did do some strange ones, like Hellbound. Hellbound was really weird. But yeah, I mean, Norris just, I mean, those movies are awesome. You know, those are another, you know, great, just kick them up, shoot them up, you know, action, you know, sit down with a beer and and watch one of those and big bowl of popcorn. But yeah, no, really cool. It is one of those that you kind of, you know, I've had it for a while, and you know, I used to always think, you know, but things come up, you know, all of a sudden you just let things go, and that was one I let go. So, all right, that's it on the comments, and the sirens are going early. Let me shut this down. Get another swig of coffee, and Joe, where are you? Swig of coffee for Joe P over there. Okay. The movie Firearm that we brought out is actually not Dirty Harry related, even though it is a Model 29, and we haven't brought this out for. I have not. I almost feel ashamed owning this because it has not come out and done anything, and I haven't shot this, and I don't even remember when. I used to shoot it quite often. This is an 8 3/8 Model 29. And in fact, there's a lot of dried oil still all over it and still all inside of it, so I haven't cleaned it or messed with it. And my interest to it, or attraction to it, was not necessarily Dirty Harry, even though the 8 3/8 was probably used in some of the promo photos and stuff, especially on the VHS cover of the Deadpool, the last Dirty Harry film. We're not talking about that modern junk that's out there. It was used on the. It shows the thing on the side, and then his profile of Clint Eastwood's face. No, what we're talking about on this one is actually the film Taxi Driver. Taxi Driver, directed by Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro, and it's got Harvey Keitel, Peter Boyle, Sybil Shepherd. Jodie Foster, really in her first real breakthrough role. This is a cool movie. This is one of my absolute favorite movies, and I'm a big film guy. I care about the film itself, the structure of the movie, the acting, and the details in it. I don't care about what the person is in real life. I really don't. I'm just all about the entertainment value of the film, and Taxi Driver is one of my favorites. Scorsese really hit it really just, I think the detail in this movie is amazing. There's a couple editions of it that popped up. I even have the original VHS copy of this thing because it's just so cool. I saw this on VHS. It came out, way before, my lifetime. But really a neat movie, state of the art. It has effects done by Dick Smith. Dick Smith did the effects for it, which if you're familiar with Dick Smith and you love movie effects and horror and all that, Dick Smith is like the pioneer of all special effects that got used throughout the 80s and the glory days of practical effects. Everything he did, he kind of was the innovator of it and shared it with other special effects artists such as Tom Savini, which Tom Savini is the reason why all the 80s splatter films absolutely rocked. I would absolutely love to meet Tom Savini. I know he's getting up there in age, and a lot of those really great time guys like George Romero, they passed on. And Tom Savini and those guys are still kicking around out there, and I still want to go and meet them. I still want to get to a convention and meet them. No, Dick Smith, he most notably he did the effects for The Exorcist. He created that. He was known for creating the bladder makeup and stuff like that. If you watch the movie Scanners, so things like that. So that's why the ending of the movie is it looks just insane. It looks so good. It's kind of a weird known fact that if you watch, that's what's kind of neat if you watch the makings of this stuff. In the end, when he does, if you haven't seen the movie, I don't really want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. If you haven't seen it, I mean, I can't believe you haven't seen this movie. The shootout scene in the end, and it's not really a movie that's like just showing gratuitous violence. The ending has violence in it. It's the culmination of what's to happen. But so the rating, the people, they saw it and they said, this is not, you can't do this. This is 1976 or whatever this book came out. So they actually had to desaturate the color of the film. They desaturated the color. So they if you look at it, all of a sudden the ending takes place, and if you're really careful look at the picture, you're like, why does this movie look so faded out now? They had to do that to get it past the rating. When they re-released it on, and they talk about the one of the guys talks about, he says, it was really sad that they did that they would desaturate the thing, and they wish that they could whatever, go back and fix it or go back to the original negatives, but they had already been deteriorated or whatnot. Come on, man! They can take a black and white movie and make it color. They could have corrected it now, and then add two versions of it. Add a restored version and then add the OG, and that would have been fine. I kind of get that. It is now, the film is set in stone. It's part of the history. It is what it is, and that you could look at that ending with the desaturated color and just say, well, that's part of its glory, or looking back and seeing why they did that. I wish they would have gone back and maybe restored the color of it. That's kind of what I was hoping with the 40th anniversary that they would have done. The picture quality looks ever so slightly better, but it's nothing to write home about. If you have the old original copy, I guess this is really nothing to write home about. It's got the disc 1 and disc 2 special features in it, so this is not a bad deal here. And of course, it's got the cool old school cover art on it. Even though this one here, I hate when they do this. They make up their own cover art on that. Wish that wasn't the case with it. This one I've had for years. When this came out, this special edition, I definitely went and sourced this or tracked this one down. It's got a bunch of lobby cards in it and stuff like that. It's really cool. But why the gun? Because in it, when he goes to purchase his armory from Easy Andy, he asks Easy Andy, traveling salesman, do you have a .44 Magnum? He says, well, it's an expensive weapon. He says, it's okay. I got money. And he shows it to him, and they do this awesome pan of the revolver laying in the suitcase, and he hands it to him, and and he does some things with it, and they flash it around, and anyway, that's what he ends up with. And he's actually messing with the thing a lot in it. He has the 44, and he's constantly doing stuff with it, aside from that little sleeve gun he's got up his sleeve, and doing that whole bit with it. But anyway, that's part of the romance with it. It's kind of why I wanted it. Other than, if it wasn't for that, I don't know, the barrel length, it seems just kind of any much longer. I think they have a silhouette model. It's like a 10-inch barrel. I think that would be way too much for anything practical. I mean, obviously, for what it was made for, I've never done any of that kind of shooting games or anything like that. But this is enough, and I'm glad it's still kicking around with the collection, because it was a time where I'm like, oh, I don't know. But funny story with that. I think the reason also why this sticks around with me a lot. When I was looking for this, I had saw it on an auction, and had a friend of mine that had a FFL license go and get it for me off of an auction, and he actually did me a favor, and it got the guy down on price. He kind of chopped the guy down on price. I don't know. He worked his magic anyway. It was. I mean, by today's prices, it would just be a jaw-dropping price. And I don't remember exactly what it was. It was just like really cheap. And so he, when I got it, and I went over to his shop, and he handed it to me. I remember he said he when he got it in the mail for me and everything, and they sent it to his shop, and he had it signed in under his license name, and he handed it to me, and he says that thing is in really good shape, and it was. I mean, this thing looked like what had happened with its previous owner. They loaded it up, and they shot it one time, and they said, oh my God, and they cleaned it and put it in a box. I got really lucky with it. So it's kind of one of those gems that I still have, and I don't see myself selling it, but anyway, and this is the original holster I got for it, because obviously it's an 8 3/8 barrel. This is the original holster I got for it. It's a Bianchi X15. I've had this for years. It was actually on clearance sell, a blowout on Midway years ago, and it was left-handed, and being left-handed, so I got it, and it looks similar to what he has in Taxi Driver, and also it's kind of odd if you look at the holster that Dirty Harry has in Sudden Impact, I believe. Yeah, it's Sudden Impact. He has something. I think this is like almost what he has. In fact, this has been in videos where we talked about Dirty Harry and stuff like that. And boy, the comments are, oh, that's not his holster. That's not the Dirty Harry holster. Dirty Harry used a couple different types of holsters, and in the early days, yeah, this was not the one. But I believe in Sudden Impact, this is what he has. If I'm not mistaken, if you look at the movie, that's actually what he's kind of wearing. So people are so quick to jump on things, and it's like it's so insane. It's like my when I showed my John Wayne rig, I had my John Wayne, my Rooster shooter, and a holster that's somewhat resembled his holster, and a belt that was made by Hunter Leather by my good friends in Colorado. I used to live in Colorado, so I believe they're in Westminster, and they hooked me up with that. That was really cool, and I've had it for years, still got it. And people were, that's not John Wayne's gun. Oh my God, like he's such a liar. This guy's a fraud. I never said it was. This was my John Wayne gun. It's so insane. But it's just silly stuff like that, and people would just get so carried away about. And it's like, geez, man. It's like you must be. How can you watch a movie and enjoy it? It's like you watch a movie like a Walter Hill movie. Any of his good old movies. Walter Hill is very influenced by Sam Peckinpah, and it's like his movies are just awesome. I mean, that's one you just like. Again, big bowl of popcorn, a relaxing night. You just want to just watch a sheer entertaining movie. That's the one to pick. But if you're one of those people, it's like, well, that's not correct. He wouldn't have fired, that many rounds, or he wouldn't have had that kind of T-shirt for that kind of period in the movie. It's like, oh man, you're not going to enjoy very many things. So anyway, thanks for tuning in this week. Thanks for hanging around and enjoying it. We got more stuff to come over time here. I'm actually working on some more other cool stuff in the backgrounds here that we're going to be sharing with you. Hopefully soon, we'll get them to you and get to talking and showing some more cool stuff, some DIY stuff and all that kind of cool jazz. So